It's your favorite manifesting cousin, Neira, and welcome to the Manifest with Me podcast, where we will be discussing mindset, manifestation, and money, with a little ratchet behavior mixed in from time to time. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Neira_X. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Neira the G.O.A.T, and visit my website, NeiraTheGoat.com. The Manifest with Me, where thoughts become things digital course has officially launched. If you're interested in learning how to manifest more, shift your paradigms, and overcome any limiting beliefs, this is the perfect course for you. Check out my website, NeiraTheGoat.com, to learn more about it. I'm so happy and grateful that you've taken a moment to listen to this podcast, and I hope you find this week's episode super helpful and insightful. Make sure to leave me a 5-star review and comment on this episode and shout me out on social media. I'd love to hear your feedback. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode. All right, peeps. So, welcome back to another episode of Manifest with Me. I realized after uploading part 1 of Welcoming in the Woo Woo that I never mentioned the part about autosuggestion, which is my other woo woo type of thing that I do to help me manifest and attract more. So, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. So, autosuggestion. I was first, I think I was first introduced to autosuggestion by the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. There's an entire chapter in that book on autosuggestion. And I'm going to go and read to you guys a little snippet from there. It says autosuggestion is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature, or by neglect, permit thoughts of a destructive nature to find their way into this rich garden of the mind. And then it later goes on to say the price of ability to influence your subconscious mind is everlasting persistence in applying the principles described here. So throughout this chapter on autosuggestion, they talk about things like in so many words, kind of like affirmations, um, looking at your written goals that you have like over every day. And then also a little bit, it kind of touches on visualization. But I read this chapter, and of course, you guys know I studied Bob Proctor and some other people from The Secret, and I was able to take autosuggestion a little further. And I think that guided meditations and sleep hypnosises also fall into the category of autosuggestion because a lot of time you're in a meditative state in order to do guided meditations and sleep hypnosis, and it's all how you reprogram your subconscious mind. So I'm so excited to get into this with you guys because by far I feel like it is one of the tools that I use to kind of get to the root of a problem. I feel like affirmations are great. I feel like writing down your goal and like looking at it every day is a good technique to use. I also feel like visualization is a very cool and good technique to use, but I feel like those things can often sometimes come off a little at surface level because and then also I think the other side of it, not just being surface level, but I think the other side of it is when it comes to like creating affirmations, something that I recently learned is it's really easy to come up with the affirmation, I am going to be a millionaire. But if you look at your current relationship with money, and if you haven't even made it to the high 5-figure mark, or the 6-figure mark. And even if you've made it to those marks, if you look at your relationship with money and your ability to be able to save, to invest on these levels, um, getting to $1 million is something that's easy to say, but subconsciously may not be an easy feat to actually do. And a lot of times when it comes to manifestation and things that we want to bring into our lives, we never really know exactly how we're going to do it. We just have the desire that we're going to. But everybody, as it relates to money, has a money like a thermometer, I think it's called. There's a phrase for it out here in this world that we're all in when it comes to manifestation. And I forget what it's called, but it's kind of like everybody has a dollar thermostat, right? We all have a dollar that we are that's associated with our nervous system to what feels comfortable to us. So let's say, for instance, you make a $65,000 salary, and that's what you've been making for the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. You might get bonuses from time to time where that 65,000 bumps up to 70,000. But for the most part, you kind of stay around the $65,000 income range because that is your normal. That's what your nervous system has become comfortable with. And that's what we do. And if you have not actively done any work subconsciously to work on your relationship with money, that's where you're staying. That's why a lot of times, you may run into older adults who have had the same job for however many years, and they may not attract raises into their lives. They might stay at the same salary for the last 10, 15 years because they have not done the inner work to catapult them from their base current reality and current salary to something bigger. So, back to what I was saying about the affirmations, like we can all make an affirmation saying that we want to make $1 million, but we don't necessarily know the inner workings that it takes to get from 65,000 to 1 million. And then and that's okay. That's okay. But let me help you out. And this is just a tidbit before I get into the whole auto suggestion thing. But just a side note: when creating affirmations, when you are having moments like this, and it could not even just be with money. Let's say you wanted to attract a more fruitful relationship into your life, but you still are dealing with limiting beliefs of trust. It's easy to make an affirmation that says, I'm going to attract the love of my life in the next 65 days or whatever. That's cool to say. But if you're still healing from your previous relationship, it's kind of like unrealistic. So you would want to change that affirmation to something along the lines of, I'm learning the tools that it's going to take for me to create a long lasting relationship, or I'm learning to better my communication skills so that whenever my new love comes into my life, we are able to maintain that love. So all you can always spin it to where it doesn't seem like you're going from fucking piss poor to mansion. You know what I mean? For a lack of a better analogy, sometimes you have to make those affirmations be those medium steps in between where you are now and where you're trying to go. So, anyway, back to auto suggestion. I found out about auto suggestion through the book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a great read if you haven't read it before, and if it's been a while since you read it, I think you should pick it up again. After doing this episode, I'm realizing that I want to go back in and reread it myself. So, they talk about auto suggestion, right? So then from there, I think I read this book in 2018. And from there, and if you've watched my YouTube videos or listened to other things, you may have heard this story before, but it's good to hear it again. So I read Think and Grow Rich in 2018. And then I started studying Bob Proctor's seminar, You Were Born Rich. And in You Were Born Rich, he has this exercise where you write whatever your goal is on the back of a business card, and you carry it with you every day. You read it every day, and it's something that's suggested to do in the chapter on auto suggestion and Think and Grow Rich as well. So I did that. And Bob Proctor's seminar, Think and Grow Rich, and this is how old it is, he had the students in the seminar write a list of affirmations or their goals or whatever it is that you want to call it. He had them write it down, and then he gave them all a cassette tape for them to record it on. And they were supposed to listen to the cassette tape as often as possible. So, of course, this is back in 2018 whenever I'm hearing about this thing or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own money affirmations, and I'm going to record them on my phone with some meditation music, and I'm going to listen to them every night before bed. So this is when I really found out about auto suggestion, right? But what I didn't realize was that I was practicing auto suggestion about Remy was born in 2016. So 2 years before this, I was practicing autosuggestion before I even knew what I was doing. Right. So when I was pregnant with my daughter Remy, I had decided, like, going into my third trimester, all of a sudden that I wanted to have a water birth because I ran across this video on YouTube and this girl was like, "You can have a baby natural. Don't feed into the fear." And with my son, I had an epidural. So I was like, man, she's right. I could do this. So I reached out to my doctor, decided I want to have a water birth at the last minute, like right before the cutoff date for you to change your mind about these types of things. So they allowed me to do it. I was in decent health or whatever. And as I was researching water births, I ran across some YouTube video that was talking about this guided meditation that this lady had used. It was called Childbirth in the Glory, and I think I was able to download it from Amazon. But it was a guided meditation of scriptures from the Bible that all revolved around health, parenthood, um, just being victorious, all of those things that you kind of want to put yourself in the mindset of before having a baby. So I would listen to that nightly, and anytime I was, as I was in the third trimester, it wasn't much that I was doing, so I would listen to it nightly. I would listen to it before I would take a nap. And then I also found the sleep hypnosis called hypnobirthing, and it was all these breathing techniques, and it takes you into a sleep hypnosis to prepare your mind and your body to have a natural birth and a natural delivery. Now, I was doing all this stuff, and I was really had my mindset on, like, you're going to have this water birth. You can do it. I was scared shitless, but I really believed I could. So, let me walk you through what labor and delivery actually looked like for me. So, in comparison to my son, with my son, who is 3.5 years older than my daughter, I was 3 centimeters when I made it to the hospital, 3 centimeters dilated. Ended up getting all the way to 7 or 8, and I asked for the epidural because I was just scared. I'd never had a baby before. I didn't really know what to expect. The pain was becoming very hard. Um, and I think I had gotten to the point where they were like, if you don't get it now, then you're not going to be able to get it at all. And I think that scared me. So I just went with it, right? But after having him, I was so out of it. Like, I hugged him and held him after I had him, but then I was passed out because I was just so tired. And then I was sore up to about a week after having him from the epidural. So with Remy, I have been doing these sleep hypnosis, these guided meditations, and of course, she's my second baby. And if anybody's had a baby, one or more than one, you know that the last thing you want to do is be having contractions, but you're not really dilated. And you don't want to go to the hospital only for them to send you back home. So with Remy, I was trying my hardest to just hold out as much as I could before getting to the hospital, because I didn't want to get sent back home. So, I started having contractions with Remy that morning and then throughout the day. And by the time I'd finally decided to go to the hospital, I made it there. And I think I was about 6 or 7 centimeters dilated by the time I got there. So I'm like, oh my God, like the baby's like here. So, if anyone has had a water birth in a hospital, you don't have a doctor, you have a midwife. And midwives are not, I mean, doctors too, but like midwives are just not chilling at the hospital waiting for you to come in. They are living their lives, doing whatever. So, when I was on the way to the hospital, because I had a doctor's appointment the day that I was in labor, I had a doctor's appointment that morning. And they were like, if the contractions, speed up or whatever, call us before you come to the hospital so we can notify your midwife. Cool. I called them as I was getting ready to leave my house. I made it all the way to the hospital, and they had not called my midwife yet. So I had to wait for my midwife to get there, and I'm already like 6 or 7 centimeters dilated, and I'm freaking out because now the pain really is so bad. Like, y'all, I was in there acting the plum fool. My ex husband didn't know what to do with me. He really didn't. So I was in triage with a nurse waiting for my midwife to get there. And mind you, when I had my son, my water didn't break. They had to break my water. So not long after I got there, they put me in triage. My water breaks. And I'm freaking out because I never had it happen to me before. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I just peed on myself. I think my water just broke down. I'm really scared because, like, in my head, the baby's head is like coming out of my vagina right now, you know? So I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? The nurse is I get a contraction. I told my ex-husband at my husband at the time, and the nurse, I was like, y'all put towels all over my body. The next contraction comes, I'm ripping all the towels off of me. I'm like, get these fucking towels off of me. The next contraction comes, they're trying, and they keep trying to cover my legs and stuff with the sheet. And every contraction comes, I keep kicking it off. So like I'm cool. They got the sheet over the bottom half of my body. Another contraction comes. I'm kicking the fucking sheet off. I'm like, get this fucking sheet off of me. I'm laying horizontally across the bed when I should be laying vertically. Like, it was just a mess. And I'm afraid because my midwife is not there yet. And the last thing I wanted to do was to get put with a regular doctor in a regular hospital bed and have to deliver this baby either completely natural without the help of the water, or to turn around and get an epidural. And at this point, I was screaming for the epidural. Like, and I didn't, and my husband at the time didn't know what to do because he knew that I really wanted to have this water birth, but he also didn't want to see me in pain. So eventually, my midwife gets there and they rush me up to the next floor or whatever. And everything was just like a blur. They had me in a wheelchair. They put me up into the room and they let me just stand in a shower while they were preparing the birthing tub. And I don't know how to explain this, y'all, but something just clicked. As soon as I got in the shower, something just clicked, and all of the anxiety and the nervousness and even the pain just kind of seemed to subside. And I began to just breathe through everything that was happening to me. And then they put me in the tub, and in 3 pushes, she was out in the water. And I really was like, I know that that sleep hypnosis had to have worked because, like I said, it was like something just shifted. Whenever the environment changed, and I knew that this was actually going to happen in the way that I guess maybe the sleep hypnosis had kind of showed me or had me to envision it to happen, I was fine and I was able to do it. So, this was in 2016. Fast forward back to 2018, whenever I actually found out what I was doing was autosuggestion, and so pretty much suggesting a particular thought onto my subconscious mind for me to accept it to be true. So at the time when I was studying Think and Grow Rich and the Born Rich seminars by Bob Proctor, I was working at Mignon Faget, which is a jewelry store in New Orleans, and I was working, just regular mall retail hours. I was making $16 an hour then, and I had decided I was going to make 60 money affirmations, and I was going to create my own guided meditation slash sleep hypnosis. So what we be doing when we at a job that we really don't like. And if Miss Liz ever hears this, I'm sorry, Miss Liz, but and my friend Taylor can tell you that this is true. I printed out the entire workbook for Born Rich on Mignon Faget's computer. I did, because that's what we be doing when we at jobs that we know we not meant to be at. We be thinking about our next move. And I print out my money affirmations there. I just printed some from Google, and that night I went home and I took my son's little tablet and I put it on a meditation music on YouTube. And then I repeated those 60 affirmations on my phone, the little voice recorder on my phone, for 8 minutes straight. And I listened to those affirmations for 60 nights straight. And from in that 60 night period, I went from working at Mignon Faget making $16 an hour to internet sales at a car dealership down to $11 an hour. And within the first month of working there, I got my job at my previous job, and I had already jumped. I think I was making immediately like $500 more a week working from the $11 an hour job to the new job. And then from there, in less than 2 years, I jumped to six figures. So It's like you with auto suggestion, what I like about it so much is it gives you the ability to be able to collapse time. It's what we call in this metaphysical world a quantum leap. And by definition, a quantum leap is an abrupt change, sudden increase, or dramatic advancement. And y'all, like, for anybody that's listening that does not know me, that does not know my story, I am a college dropout. Okay. I never went to school for marketing or anything like that. The most I knew prior to my previous career was just I just paid attention to all of the retail stores I worked in and what they did for marketing, and I pay attention to pop culture. But other than that, I have no formal education or training in marketing or anything like that. So to go from working in retail sales, making $11 an hour, to in a little under 2 years, being a director of a company and being heavily involved in the marketing, to jump to six figures is definitely a quantum leap. And when I sit back on it and reflect, it really makes you wonder, how did this happen? But this is the power of autosuggestion. This is the power of imprinting those desires and those goals on the subconscious mind, because to me, the subconscious mind is where real change occurs. Consciously, we can know all day that we are worthy of love, we are worthy of living a financially free life, we are worthy of all of these things, but everybody comes into this time space reality, and life happens and causes limiting beliefs to settle in. And because our subconscious mind does not know the difference between right or wrong, it just accepts information from our environment, from the way that we were raised, and everything else. And a lot of the times, we love our parents and God bless all of them. But a lot of the times, subconsciously, we pick on beliefs and habits on things that do not serve our highest good. And whenever you're able to come into the awareness of those things that no longer serve your highest good, you begin to wonder, where does it come from? More than likely comes from the subconscious. How do I change these things? Consciously, we know that we could change them, but we know that we work out of the paradigm, which is a collection of habits and beliefs, and most actions are habitual. So if we're working from the subconscious paradigm of something that shows lack and limitation, then that is what will be resulted in the lives that we live, no matter how conscious we are of the fact that we can have more, be more, and do more. We are still possibly operating from those limiting beliefs, from that lack and limited paradigm. And in order to be able to shift that, in order to be able to change that, you've got to do the inner working on your subconscious mind. And for me, one of the ways that helped me the most was autosuggestion. I go way deeper into all of these things in my Manifest with Me digital course, which will be relaunching in November. And I will be doing group coaching and which will be relaunching in November, where I will be teaching a lot of these things live, and I have some pre recorded lessons. So if you're interested and you want to learn more about it, make sure to head over to neirathegoat.com or click the link in the show notes so that you can stay up and up on all of the updates for it. I would be so happy to share all of these cool things with you. But I hope that this episode really helps you out. Like, I truly believe that, like I said, change happens on the subconscious level. And if there's anything that you're looking to manifest more into your life, and you feel like you've been doing all of the things, you've got all of the crystals, all of the Bible scriptures, all of the praise and worship music, you've watched all the lectures. Listen, if there's anybody that has done and tried everything, it's me. And what I know from my experience, what has helped me the most is working on the change subconsciously. So if you're interested in that, please hit me up. I'd be so happy to help you guys with it. Oh, and another thing before I go that I want to share with you guys is to remember that persistence is key. We've been going over Agmandino's scroll number 3 in The Greatest Salesman for the month of September. in the scroll on persistence and even with autosuggestion. Listen, this is not something that you can only do one time and think that your life is going to be forever changed. I'm 33 years old, and so that means I got 33 years of shit. And if you want to get really spiritual with it, we're carrying ancestral trauma and abuse and all of those things too. So it goes so far beyond just the years that we've known ourselves to live, but all of the people that we've been attached to even get us here. And it's a lot of unlearning and relearning that you have to do in order to break some of these strongholds and paradigms that you have over your life. So even when you feel like you are doing all of these things, no matter what it is, the crystals, the meditation, whatever, always remember that persistence is key. Agmandino says in the in the scroll on persistence, the prizes of life are at the end of each journey, not near the beginning. And it is not given to me to know how many steps are necessary in order to reach my goal. Failure I may still encounter at the thousandth step, yet success hides behind the next bend in the road. Never will I know how close it lies until I turn the corner. Always will I take another step. If that is of no avail, I will take another and yet another. In truth, one step at a time is not too difficult. I will persist until I succeed. Let me tell you something. I just know that it works. For you, I don't know how long it's going to take you. For me, I don't know how long it's going to take me. Like, I started doing the sleep hypnosis for 60 days straight, and then I continued on after that, but just not every day. Um but it works. It works. And it does help to change you on the subconscious level. So whatever it is that you're doing, this is your encouragement and your reminder that even if you feel like you don't see a change, just know that change is happening. And change does not always happen overnight. But when it does finally happen, it will seem as if you've collapsed time, and you can and you are able to create a quantum leap in your life just like I was, because I am no different and no better than anybody listening to this podcast. So I hope that this episode helped you. If you're looking to manifest more in your life, like I said earlier, hit me up. The Manifest with Me digital course will be relaunching this November, and we will be taking it through the end of the year. I hope that all is well with you guys. Peace, love, and light. Always remember, what you're seeking is seeking you too. Happy manifesting, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any questions or any topics that you'd like me to discuss, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or send me a DM on Instagram. Peace, love, and light to you. Always remember, what you are seeking is seeking you too. Happy manifesting.